Hello, Janadia. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Sean. How are you?
I'm well. And so this subject matter that we're going to discuss today, come on.
So, we're going to discuss today the order in lovers and friends, or friends and lovers. Friends, then lovers. Lovers, then friends. Friends, then lovers. And
Take me
why?
there.
Why
Take me
did
there.
I decide that that would be a good topic for us? Well, because here's the thing. From the female perspective, we often hear that you can be friends after being in a relationship with somebody. Like, oh, you've been in a relationship and you can be friends. And I would like to explore the option with the male counterpart to have the discussion on in the order of which you become that, whether it be lovers or friends. Can you revert back to the original after you've gotten to a particular place? So my position is that after a person establishes a friendship and then they move into the relationship, should anything go awry in that relationship, it is very difficult to return to being friends. But I do beg to argue that if a person starts out in a relationship and they become friends after that process, true friends, that their sustainability of friendship is at a greater chance in that order than beginning being friends, turning lovers to try to turn back to friends.
Hmm. Well, I don't know about the models or experiences you're using as examples, but my number one question before I proceed to give my 2 cents is this as a saved man or unsaved man? Because it has to be as an unsaved man, because obviously, from my perspective, I can't put myself in that position as a Christian. But now,
Okay.
if you want me to think about in a backslidden mode where I am carrying the name of Christ, but I'm still sleeping around, I can go there with you too. So which one?
Well, I wonder if it has to have a direction based on your belief in Christianity and your belief in your witness as a Christian. Does it have to
For
have
for
that?
me, for me, of
Mhm.
course,
Okay.
because I'm not
Why?
even going. I'm going to say me now. I'm not even going to be in that situation
Of
based
what?
solely on my beliefs. So
Of which
I can't even
situation?
have a pardon.
Of which situation?
Either one of them. If she's not my wife, we're not sleeping together.
Okay.
First or second, we can be
Okay.
friends all day long. I'm not sleeping with you.
Okay. So if she becomes your wife,
Okay, and then you're speaking of divorce.
mm-hmm,
For me,
mm-hmm,
if I were married and ended up getting a divorce, would my wife still be my friend?
mm-hmm,
I would say yes.
okay,
And I base that on having been in love before. And although I'm not in friendship with one, I am in friendship with another, and we're just friends. And things did not work out. And there's no reminiscing, there's no shoulda, coulda, woulda. We're just friends based solely off of at that time in my life and at that time in their life, we were developing. And so a part of that development was one another. And so I'm actually going to say to a certain extent, I respect the value of her friendship based on she actually taught me some things that were good things. In other words, consideration,
mm-hmm,
what a woman needs as far as why a woman needs her hand held, consideration as far as the only time you hold a woman is not when you want to have intercourse with her. I learned those things from her. And so when someone teaches you something, I think that they always have a certain value.
Mhm.
And then from my perspective, what I was able to impart to her was have confidence in who she was and how she looked. And even sometimes when people, whether it be because of jealousy or whether it be another reason, don't accept you, how to exist knowing your value. And so those are the things that left us, shall I say, as friends. And so I have to give that as that answer. But now looking back, I'm going to say from a general sense, my viewpoint as a man when I was living haphazardly, if she doesn't matter, she'll never be my friend. And you know, some people consider friendship chivalry. Just because I open up a door, just because I took an individual out over a period of time, we'll go back to college. You went to college. When it ends, it ends. I'm all right. It depended upon how I felt about that individual. And you know, from a male perspective, a selfish male perspective, I'm gonna qualify this from a selfish male perspective. You know, we always want to keep a phone number or something in the phone if that's how we live. If that's how we live. Speaking from that form of mindset, I mean, it's good. We're okay. Call me every now and then. Or, you know, I happen to be on that side of town. I think one time you had a song, I don't know the rap song, but something about if he don't honk or if he doesn't do what he needs to do when he passes by your house, don't get mad.
Really?
You know what it is.
Really? Are we going to Big Hop today? Really?
I just can't remember. I'm just okay. But
Uh-huh.
that's my perspective. And that's, you know, in a different context, friendship is hard to find.
Absolutely.
And even when there have been hurt feelings, and what I want to use as a model to hold this conversation on behalf of people who are not here and we don't know how they feel about it, there are a lot of divorcees who have friendships.
Mhm.
Whether they have it does not matter whether they have friendships and associations because of children, whether they have friendships and associations because they realize that, hey, the only reason that we are not married, it was a mistake on my part and you moved on, or really we both made mistakes and we moved on. But looking back, it's not a mistake like we can blame one another. It's just simply put, I was immature, you were immature, I was selfish, you were selfish, or distance did it to us. So there are a lot of divorcees who are in friendships with one another. So obviously the majority, if not all, at some point consummated the marriage. And so that would speak to they were whatever, and then they're no more, but they're still friends.
And I would agree with you because as that particular person in that situation, my ex-husband and I are really good friends. But defining the role of friends is where a lot of people struggle. We were married. We dated before we knew each other, and then we knew each other and we married. And when we married, we grew up. And in our growing up, we realized that there were things about our lives that it did not continue to allow us to coexist in the same space. And the struggle there was, do we fight to keep it or do we throw up our hands and let it go? And whereas he fought, then I threw up my hands. Then I fought, then he threw up his hands. And so we kept going back and forth on this teeter-totter roller coaster ride, for lack of better words. And we discovered that this wasn't what we thought it was going to be at the time of our marriage. Whereas I felt like I was ready, then there might have been times that I did not feel so ready, and vice versa with him. Now, After we've been divorced since 2016, we realized the primary reason of our connectedness is our daughter. But before her, as we married, we became friends. So we loved each other in spite of the flaws that each other had. We loved each other when one was down and the other was up. We loved each other, but that was after the relationship. There are people that are friends, I mean, best friends, inseparable, and they get in a relationship and they sink because now I have to love you as my partner in intimacy. And I don't know how to do that. I can't navigate those waters. So I try and I make it look good for people. And I've witnessed some people who did that, and now they can't even speak to each other, or their communication is so broken that they cannot return to what they started out with as the foundation. So a lot of people talk about, oh, I want to marry my best friend and blah, 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 blah. But they never indicate that that person was their best friend before marriage. That person becomes their best friend. And so if we come out of the marriage element and we go into the dating element, again, the word friend has a particular meaning that goes beyond acquaintance or someone that I just randomly see if I'm in the neighborhood, or I randomly shoot the text, hey, big head. My friend is someone that I can call and ask for advice. My friend is the one who teaches me why the importance of holding hands and being in the space of a person that you really care for, or have fallen for, enthralled with, love, whatever, why that's important. Because my friend is teaching me, my friend is stretching me, my friend is growing me. And it seems as though after breakups, there's hurt and there's pain there. And maturity says, okay, if this person truly loved me, this person wouldn't hurt me. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, I can't trust you because you hurt me. So I don't want to be your friend. You can't call me if your house is on fire, because I'm not going to add water. I'm going to add gas. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so when you look at how people begin, you have to question. Well, I questioned, what about the beginning changes the ending? So if there never is a person who is dating and marries and divorces, they remain friends. Why do they remain friends? Because they learn how to fight it out. They learn how to talk it out. They learn how to work through. And when I say fight, not physically, but they learn how to adapt. And you made a point about, men and their selfishness. I had this conversation with a friend of mine prior to, because I was saying, hey, this is something that I kind of question. And he was like, Jai, this is the most disappointing thing that I've ever heard you say as long as I've known you, because you just said that a person can't break up and be friends. I did. I said, and if you ask the majority of the women, they stick to that. Men sometimes in their selfishness don't realize that if you hurt me, why should I be your friend? Because the hurt oftentimes doesn't come from the woman. Women are greater at filing for divorce than men, but the infliction of the hurt and pain, I think the statistics might have been at 84% or something around there. I have to fact check that. Comes from men. So if you hurt me, you don't expect me to leave, but you hurt me and you won't leave. Men don't break up with women.
I mean, that's a myth. That's
for you.
A myth. I have had to let some go in the past.
But have you had to let a girlfriend, like my only girlfriend, not one of them? I
had to let some go in the past. Things aren't working. It's not right. I need to let you go.
Right. But that's the thing. And for me, I just, I said to him, I'm like, hey, he was like, well, I mean, what if we're together and I want to become Muslim and I want you to become Muslim and you don't want to become Muslim? So you mean to tell me that after we break up because you don't want to become Muslim, you're not going to be my friend? And I said, you're becoming Muslim and me not willing to convert to Muslim means that there's something about that I don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
So if I don't agree with it, then it's important for me to know and for you to know that everything that goes along with that is you. And while I support you and I encourage you to go and be Muslim and be great, that's not my ministry. So I'm out of that. Can you call me and say, Janati, I need you and I need you to help me out? Sure. But I'm not going to pick up the phone and call and talk to you about my new relationship. I'm not going to pick up the phone and call and ask you your opinion about this guy did me wrong or he said this to me. How does this translate to? I'm not going to have that conversation to you, which then means you're not my friend because I don't have reserved conversations for friends. My friends know everything. My friends can take me asking for advice and can give me sound advice back. My friends can tell me, Janadia, you're wrong. My friends can say, I wouldn't do that if I were you. My friends can say, well, here's what I think, but you're going to do what you want to do. And I support you in that decision. Those are my friends. So then the context of friendship is what has to be established when making that broad statement. And that's all I'm saying, that if at the end of the day we break up, can you still be my friend? If I'm willing to watch you date somebody else and you're willing to communicate with me about the ups and downs that you have in this new relationship with somebody else, cool. My ex-husband and I do that. We call each other all the time and have very direct dialogue about our relationships with other people because he knows me better than I know myself when it comes to intimacy anyway, because he shared that with me for so many years. So I can ask him, quite honestly, is this something that I need to work on from your perspective as my prior mate? And he can say to me, yes, that's my friend. But some dude that I used to go with for some years, I don't even want to see you, let alone do I want to ask you for your opinion about me and another dude. And I know you not mentally or mature. Your maturity is not there to give me that sound advice to help me to be better, because that's what it boils down to.
So it sounds like when this question is posed by our listeners or with individuals that you've spoken to, there seems to be a sliding scale of what is the definition of a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I believe that happens even with other friends that are not dating. It's like a friend to me, there's a necessity of loyalty, but a friend to another individual just means association. I call you my friend, but why you call him your friend? Is that your best friend? No, that's just somebody I associate with, but I use the term friend. And so that sliding scale, and it beckons back to what I always share, communication. In the midst of all the compliments and fawning over one another, there needs to be some understanding of, listen, and I'm going to say this as far as some women, when a woman makes the statement, I need to know where our relationship stands. See, that's an in-depth statement right there, because I believe she's trying to get to the bottom of, are our intentions, are our inclinations, are our plans synonymous, or you feeling like this, or I'm feeling like that. And so, it makes for good conversations. And one thing, when this subject was brought up, I had alluded to, it brought me into remembrance of when I had seen an interview, and that interview really impacted me because what I felt and what I feel was voiced by another man, and I had never heard another man voice it. But as men, we all deal with it, and we deal with women making statements like, tell me what's on your mind, or be completely honest with me. But we know in the deep recesses of our mind, if I say the wrong thing, not only is the mood going to shift, there's going to be repercussions. And so some, not all, some men temper that. And now I can only tell you what I've heard on TV, what I've heard in interviews, what I've heard from other women. You do the same at times. When he asks you a certain question, if I tell him the truth, what can he handle the truth? And a lot of times,
handle the truth.
Okay, there we go. And so, these make up for good discussions. And the reason I like having those discussions, because they need to be had, because in these days and times of a high divorce rate, I attributed a lot of times to conversations like these weren't held. Do I understand religion, finances, infidelity can all play a role in divorce? Yes, I do. But I really firmly believe in my heart that all those three things that I named, if there was good communication about what people believed, felt, hoped, expected before the marriage, I don't believe there would be as many divorces. I can be wrong, but that's just a personal belief.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and quote my homie here. Because a lot of women don't like Kevin Samuels. I like Kevin Samuels. His delivery leaves a lot to be desired, but I like his content because he tells the truth about things that we just now in new age do not want to believe. And I think that communication is essential. It is essential. But again, going back to even from a religious position, being honest doesn't mean that I don't like you. Being honest doesn't mean that I don't respect you. Being honest is sharing with you how I feel. And so, how I feel about a particular thing. And if you care anything about me, if you have any love for me, you will understand that and not take it personal. That honesty should not be directed for any ill intent. It should really be, here is what I think, here is how I feel, and I'm laying it out on the table. You receiving it, how I sent it, makes a difference than you internalizing it for your gain or for the intent of it to hurt or harm you. Mm-hmm. And so when he talks about, even dating, and I know you disagree with this, but I'm going to say it anyway, that he says that dating was never a thing. When we look at our parents and our grandparents, dating was not a thing. You met them, they met you, you liked each other, you asked to marry, and you married. There were no long engagements, there were no date after date, or you have to take me here and you have to buy me this and you have to prove to me that you want to be in a relationship with me forever. That was not a thing. That became a thing, from my understanding, that he shared in the 50s. That was never something that was a thing. And so when you look at it from our grandparents and our great grandparents and our parents' standpoint. Like my parents have been married for 43 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they dated for 6 months. So if you use the word dated, they dated for 6 months. They were 6 months. They were engaged for 4, and they married. And I was born 1 month before their 1 year anniversary. So they've gone through every possible thing known to man in their marriage, but they knew how to pray. They knew they loved each other, and they knew no matter what, the person's actions would not harm us as a family. Like we would learn from it, but it wouldn't harm us. A friend of mine always says, "But did you die though?" Like nobody died, in the growing and the stretching. And as a family, my brother and I learned from my parents. I gave up in my marriage. There are times that I honestly, in total truthfulness to you as my friend, there are times that I've sat and thought I should have stayed. Even though there was infidelity, you can get past cheating. For anybody that doesn't know, you can get past that. You have to have a conversation. You have to understand the why. You have to understand the changes that need to be made for both people, because clearly there's a reason why it happened. And so then if there's a product of, if you're a product of the why it happened, then you begin to make the adjustment that you need to make so that it doesn't happen again, because this is the person that you committed to forever. This is the person that you call truly your friend.
Let me throw up the X.
All right, come on with the X.
I've got a triple X comment. So
come on with the triple X.
Let me digress by commenting on the Bible says in Ephesians that we as believers are to speak the truth in love. So that validates your comment that the truth should be able to be spoken and received, even if not liked. But that speak the truth in love intimates how the truth is spoken has a lot to do with how people receive it. Mm-hmm. And I want to build on that by stating that sometimes my truth is really a lie. And when I tell you my truth about you, you clearly see that may be true to you, but it's really not true for me. And that's a conflict. That's when I say that's the first X. There's okay, is the truth really the truth? Or is that your slanted, prejudicial, ignorant perspective because your mind is not open, or you just want to do what you want to do when you want to do it, and as long as I let you, you're gonna do it. So I just want to say that's one X factor in receiving the truth from different individuals. It's going to be difficult when that individual who the truth is being spoken to doesn't even believe that is a valid truth. Just something to think about. My number 2 X factor, because you share so many things, it triggered some things on the inside. I was thinking about it and I was like, the Industrial Revolution, basically a time in history where men who had lived in rural communities began to move their families into cities for factory jobs. The dynamic, to me, from ancient times all the way up to the Industrial Revolution, the family unit was a little bit closer. And thereby the parents knew their children a little bit better, to where when the subject of marriage came up, I'm saying old movies. In the old movies, the first move by the female is going to be to their father, who's going to offer advice based upon, I know my daughter and my years of experience are going to play a role in her decision, and she knows that. Well, when that family dynamic breaks up, now we have different individuals giving men and women advice that they are ill-equipped to give.
Mhm.
And then I believe that leads to, well, he asked her or she asked him and that didn't work for them. Well, I'm smart enough to figure it out on my own because right now we're not eating at the table together anymore. So therefore I'm more independent. So I'm going to make independent decisions. And the only reason I said the X factor in that, when different individuals have different experiences concerning what they believe to be the standard for how they should be in a relationship, how they should be treated, because some people's standard right now is, can you take care of me?
Right.
Other people's standard is our religion the same? Meaning you hear it all the time. Meaning, what's your number one quality you looking for in a mate? Oh, they gotta love Jesus. Okay, so that is mandatory. But we know standards, when they're held over a period of time and age begins to creep in, I'll settle for you saying that you're a Christian, but I know you're not living like a Christian. I understand that. I'll settle for, you know what? We don't even have to put a title on it. Do you believe in God? Just, you think there's God. And the only reason I'm bringing those up, your points are valid, but those X factors are what people deal with every day, that in the midst of the conversation, the lack of absolutes, to me, are seeds that can lead to eventual destruction of a relationship. Meaning, I actually need to know, can I tell you the truth? And I need to know, are you mature enough that if I tell you my truth and you see the fallacy behind my truth, you were able to correct me in a manner that is not only respectful, as I'm going to speak to you respectfully, but you won't hold that against me, because the natural human nature says, if I tell you something and you were wrong in your response, then the next time I tell you something, I have in the back of my mind, there's a possibility that you're wrong. And all of these lend themselves to me to the old adage, it is better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. Well, where did you get that connection? That means, I'm going to tell you, if you believe it's love, then you can expect whether it's true love or whether it's just an emotion. There's going to be some pain. There's going to be some misunderstanding. So the one thing that I'm encouraging anyone to do, including myself, make sure that the conversation doors are open at the beginning. And if you met me and the conversation door is not open, don't think that you can change me. Don't think anything other than, okay, if he doesn't change anymore, can I live with him forever? And if you can't, and if I can't, then that's a recipe to say we don't need to get married.
Absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said the maturity of the people. It's so many people that are just getting together. I mean, they like it, and I get it. Don't get me
okay
wrong.
I needed to hear that, because
Yeah.
no, I heard you and I'm in total agreement, but somebody might be watching this or listening, and what they feeling behind that statement, what you saying, you don't really understand. I think I'm just saying, the first time I heard the term was on Instagram. They say it's the cuddling season. I don't know about the cuddling season. I don't know anything about that. But I have common sense to know when this cold weather hit, a nice, it used to be the nice warm bed. I don't care how good the sheets are, how thick the comforter is. Boy, when it's cold and them cold sheets hit, you're like, whoa.
And you by yourself? Yes, indeed. Indeed.
Okay. I just want to add that so you understand. So okay.
I understand. I just think that as you mature in the relationship, that the dynamics change, and that okay, me telling the truth is going to be in love. If you don't believe it, if you hear it and you don't receive it, that's fine. But you can never say, I didn't tell you. And I tell people all the time, especially people, with their interest in dating me, never allow me to find out in the street what you didn't tell me before I got to the street. Because what happens is you didn't care enough to tell me what somebody else would tell me, which makes me hearing it 10 times worse than me being able to have it defensible. If you told me and then I hear it in the street and people are making it as if I've never heard this before. So if I hear it from you, you're far better off than me having to hear it from somebody else. So I can say, I know. I don't take issue with it. Do you have issue with it? You have issue with it. That's your issue, but that has nothing to do with our relationship and our communication level, so that there's nothing about you that I don't know that somebody else knows about you that could hurt me. So when you're open and honest and completely, you feel better. I don't know about you, but when I tell somebody how a TI is, I feel so much better. I just feel so better. I feel so free. And so when people are told the truth, you feel better. And so I try to tell people that all the time. Tell me the truth. Let me decide how it's going to impact me. Don't try to save it because you feel like it's going to hurt me. You can't hurt me. I hurt me. Because if I hear something that I allow to be given to me how you gave it to me, then that means I hurt me. But you might say it in love and you might not hear yourself saying what you're saying. And so you don't realize that, oh, that stung. You might catch it afterwards, but you can't retract words. And so I just tell people all the time that makes the difference. And I think, I was communicating with this young man, and I told you I'm a Kevin Samuels person. And so he was like, I've been married a few times. I was like, a few times? Yeah, he'd been married a few times. And while we laughed about it, I said, there's one thing that I'm assured of. You are not afraid to love and lose. You are not afraid to ask, and you are not afraid to walk. So that tells me there is no fear in you. I can appreciate that. Like, you tried it a couple of times and neither one of those things worked. The question is, what have you done to work on you to make you better should you decide to go down that path again? Not to say that you can't, because, double standard, celebrities get married 100 times and we don't have any issue with that. Homie from around the corner who mama grew up at the church and was a deaconess and daddy served communion. You got married 2 times? Oh my God, you're divorced? Oh my God, not you. Double standard. However, we're all human. And so, I would go into our other conversation, but I'm going to save it for our other interview because I feel in my spirit that I'm going to be coming back.
Is that a prophecy?
That's a prophecy.
A prayer or a promotion? Prophecy, prayer, promotion. But of course, we always have engaging conversations.
I appreciate you. But yeah, I mean, I just know that from at 42, I've learned a lot. And I've learned to look at the situations that I've experienced and been in or around, and then I begin to dissect. My master's degree is in counseling, and so it gives me a different viewpoint. I am the pastor's daughter and the pastor's sister, and so I was raised 42 years in the church, so that gives me another perspective to look at things. But I think that what I have learned is that when I say, oh, we're friends, I hold that dearly to me. Acquaintances, associates, I think we were talking about what's dating and what's talking and what's in a relationship, those types of different things. There's so many labels for stuff now. But to me, at the end of the day, you have my lover and my friend. And so if the cart comes before the horse, should anything be derailed, then I'm wrong. Like, you can't put the cart before the horse, right? So if it derails, then then I know that there's something out of order. So I can be friends, be true friends with someone. I think that won't allow me to be that have that mindset that should anything go bad, that we can't return to friends. But I've also known that there are times that you've gotten into the relationship with someone who you never knew, and you love them more than you could almost love yourself. And at that particular time, you became friends with them. And when something went wrong, you realize the friendship element as opposed to the intimate element. And it allowed you to still hold on. Again, there are, I would say, two people that I've dated outside of my husband that today we talk regularly. Like, can pick up the phone, call me. We have 2 and 3 and 4 hour conversations. And we talk about relationships and what I did. And, he'll say, you shouldn't have done that. I told you that wasn't a good move a long time ago when you tried it with me and it didn't work. Like those types of conversations. And so that lets me know that there is nothing between us. So anyone that comes in my life after them is assured that there is nothing between us. Now, if that particular person says, I don't want you dealing with them because, I don't like them, you used to date them, used to be in a relationship with them, I don't want you dealing with them, then you have a decision to make. Because if you say that that's your friend, you have a decision to make. And how you justify that to your spouse is on you. I don't think I would ever marry somebody that would make me.
I'll end it like this, unless I'm wrong. And I know you having the Bible knowledge that you have. There's a statement in the Bible somewhere that says basically when two individuals are married, the two become one. So if the two become one, that sort of answers the question for me about if you have a problem with a friend of mine, because it's no longer I, but it's us, and us is I. So, but we'll pick up. I appreciate you, and you have a wonderful day.
I appreciate you too.